Tag TV, and Tag Radio. Technology now has a voice of innovation and information. Get it on www.tagtvonline.com. Are you an entrepreneur or an executive developing a technology company or concept? Ready to begin that all-important financing strategy? TAG and the Advanced Technology Development Center, the ATDC, have the ultimate answer. It's called CAP Venture, a unique training program that is both comprehensive and practical. CAP Venture is taught by ATDC's experienced staff and by some of the most successful entrepreneurs and venture deal makers in the entire southeastern United States. Greetings, everyone. It's Tuesday, June 10, 2008, and this is Tech Talk with Technology Association of Georgia President Tino Mandela. From timely market information to customized coaching, today's Tech Talk is all about what's needed for successful angel or venture fundraising as Tino speaks with ATDC Director of Business Development, Cindy Cheatham. Cindy provides strategic advice at the nationally recognized Science and Technology Incubator as part of its venture capitalist team. She also leads strategic partnerships and relationship development at the center. A prior top exec at an ATDC graduate company and at a venture-funded startup which raised $30 million while she served as the company's Director of Business Development, Cindy is a former management consultant and financial analyst and a frequent speaker to entrepreneurs and organizations. A woman in technology, WIT, former multi-nominee for Woman of the Year, and as Director of the CAP Venture Program, recipient of the AEA 2007 Spirit of Endeavor Award. The Tech Talk turns on the green machine for startup fundraising as Tino speaks with ATDC CAP Venture Director and Venture Catalyst, Cindy Cheatham.
Cindy, thank you for joining me on Tech Talk.
Great to be with you this morning.
For those very few people that will be listening into the radio program, let's tell a little bit about ATDC, that there might be a couple people out there that don't know about it. I think pretty much our audience does, but give me the elevator pitch on ATDC.
Sure. ATDC is a nationally recognized science and technology incubator, and essentially what we do is we help startup entrepreneurs get the resources and people they need to accelerate their chances of success. We've enjoyed a nice track record over the past almost 30 years, having just celebrated a $1 billion venture capital raised by our company since 1999. So we look forward to telling you about this CAP Venture program, and that's one of the ways that we serve startup tech companies out there.
Yeah, ATDC is a great partner of TAG, and we're just proud to be a partner with you on so many different things. How many companies do you have in ATDC today?
We have approximately 40 member companies, and our membership is essentially one is our core business in terms of a selective membership that typically has companies with us for a 3 to 4 year period. And about 25 of those are on site with us in Midtown Atlanta, and others are spread throughout the state.
Well, yeah, and it's interesting because I think you just alluded to it, but in addition to the 40 companies that are your member companies, ATDC over the last few years, and maybe it's longer than that, Cindy, it seems like it's made a real push to go outside of those companies to be supportive and involved with the broader entrepreneur community.
Yeah, we always have tried to work with a broader set of companies than just our members. We're committed to anybody who comes to us to trying to give advice or feedback or connections. But yes, we've deliberately over the past year or two have decided to have more focus on outreach programs in partnership with others. And CAP Venture is one of those. Our TAG ATDC Entrepreneurs Series and commitment working with you on that is another good example.
And, of course, you guys just played an integral role in helping us wrap up the business launch, which was a lot of fun with 75 companies joining in on that. And ATDC did a lot of behind-the-scenes work to evaluate the first 75 and then 45 and then help us get it down to a final 12 for semi-final interviews. So you guys are doing an awful lot in that area. And CAP Venture certainly is a key program, and both TAG and ATDC want to find the very best companies to apply for that so that we get them into the process. Why don't you talk about what we're doing and then why we're doing it?
Sure. Well, essentially CAP Venture is fundraising boot camp for companies, startup tech companies that are looking to raise angel and venture capital. Capital is in many cases or most cases for tech product-based companies an essential ingredient to growing jobs and growing successful companies. So in essence, that's what Cap Venture is. And why are we doing it? I think we're trying to do it so that we can reach a much larger number of companies than through our traditional membership program, while at the same time giving them a very intensive boot camp. So we think we can serve a large number of companies in a productive vehicle using the serial entrepreneur mentors and coaches and doing it in partnership with the Technology Association to have leverage for our limited staff to be able to reach more companies with a significant impact.
Now, you've raised some money in your own personal firms that you worked with, the $30 million, I think was said, and then in addition to that, you mentioned $1 billion, over $1 billion, assisting companies that were part of ATDC or are part of ATDC to generate venture and angel dollars or outside investments. So that's quite a track record. What do you find? I mean, we're going to be looking for. My question is going to be on our target audience for this, and I guess part of that is the company's recognition that they're ready, or I would think that more companies feel like they're ready to be starting to raise money than might be to the point of actually being able to be positioned to do that. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I do think that there are certainly a number of companies out there that many don't have any experience at all in terms of how or when to go to venture and in terms of just self-evaluating their fundraising strategy. So there's that level of company, and then there's others that have some experience where they just really need to get wisdom and they need to sharpen it up and they need to make sure just like you put a house on the market when it's ready and you have it all dressed up, you have it priced, you have somebody come in and do the work to really dress it up. We think that there's a number of companies that perhaps do have some sophisticated management, some experience, but nonetheless frequently go out to market without doing, dotting their I's and crossing their T's and without the right strategy. So there's a range of different companies that we will certainly be looking at in the application process, and there will be a variation of even the companies that are selected in terms of their sophistication and their experience. But nonetheless, we're not just looking for a pure concept here. We are looking for people who have, investors won't, in most cases, unless it's just a phenomenal entrepreneur with a track record that, has made that investor money, they will not typically fund that. So we are looking for people who have put some skin in the game, if you will, in the absence of that track record, by demonstrating that they're either full-time committed to the venture and or they've put a little bit of their own friends and family money in. So it's more than a concept. It's not a business plan, business school exercise, if you will. It's real companies with real commitment that are able to show to investors that, hey, I believe in this enough that I'm willing to commit my time and or some of my resources, and now I need to bring outside resources in.
Do people, when they come in or even as they're applying, do you sense that, or maybe the ones that don't apply might be more appropriate, but that they feel like it's more of an art and less of a science, and is Cap Venture helping them to develop that science, the intricacies of how you actually go out and your readiness to raise funds? Yeah,
I do think that it is both an art and a science, but at the end of the day, there are a lot of common steps that people take that can increase your probability of success and can not only increase the probability but just your productivity in the process. It's very time-consuming to build a company when you're a small team, go out and get first customers, raise capital, and do all the other things. And so we're both giving some people some good strategies to hopefully really improve their odds, but also to help them manage their time very effectively, which is as critical of a resource in the startup as money is. So if that answers your question, yeah. And you make a good point about the science. I mean, I was very pleased when surveyed the Cap Venture coaches last year, as you know, who were a very sophisticated bunch in terms of fundraising, and one of them made a statement in the survey that, hey, quote unquote, I was blown away by the amount of the body of knowledge of fundraising that I saw through this program.
Yeah, since we're trying to recruit coaches, we won't say too much about that, but we did hear a comment last year that it was the most work anybody's done as a volunteer, so I think that's a good thing in terms of their level of energy that they have to put into that. Maybe this is a good point to talk about the benefits of the program as you see them for anybody that's looking to to raise dollars.
Sure. Well, at a high level, the benefits are basically to help a company develop a highly likely practical fundraising strategy that will give them increase their probability of success. It will also significantly enhance their network and their reach to individuals who can provide warm introductions to investors. Thirdly, it will actually give them a direct opportunity when well prepared to pitch to numerous investors, both at the forum and then at the final. The best Cap Venture companies will have the additional bonus of getting an automatic slot into the Venture Atlanta Forum in October, which is a new addition this year. We pushed the program up so that Cap Venture could coordinate with that. And I will tell you, based just on track record from last year, we've had 4 companies out of the almost 15 that have already secured capital, including a number of whom are 3 who are now ATDC members, and so 4 companies
That's excellent.
Have raised capital, and almost all the companies that we surveyed last year would highly recommend it to their peers.
I think maybe it'd be important for our listeners for you to go through a little more of the details of the program. I know, as we talked about already, there's coaches or mentors involved. There's different presentations each week, and then at the end there's people are always rehearsing throughout the program in terms of their presentation to a potential investor, right? So
let me take you through a quick snapshot of the program. First of all, each of the companies that is accepted to Cap Venture, and it will be a select set of companies that get the intensive coaching from the serial entrepreneurs. Each of them will be matched up with a successful serial entrepreneur that's had multiple successful fundraising. So that's a value, and they will be shepherding them throughout the program. Week by week, it's approximately 7 weeks in total. The first week kicks off with an investor panel where we have a top set of investors representing all types of angel and venture investing, where they get to hear the criteria, the process, and get direct from the mouth of the investors what they recommend for how and when companies approach them. And then we'll have the companies sit down with their coach and go through a fundraising strategy assessment tool that we've developed to sort of see where their strengths and weaknesses are relative to successful angel and venture financing criteria, and hopefully be able to not only have eyes wide open on where their strengths and weaknesses are, but be able to take the weak areas and say, okay, how can we shore these strengths? How can we shore these weaknesses up? What are the strategies that can enhance, that can limit our weakness, whether it be recruiting a new management team member or thinking about taking a niche market and expanding it if it's too small of a market opportunity, or in some cases the right outcome from this program may be, hey, maybe this is not the right time immediately. There will be a handful of the companies where the conclusion will be make more progress, get further along, demonstrate this market, and then come back to the fundraising market. So that's where we start, and then we'll take them through all the different preparatory steps of all the different communication tools that companies use to raise capital, everything from the in-person elevator pitch to the very strong and robust executive summary, which companies frequently fail to put together, as well as the 20-minute pitch and preparing them for a forum. But we also have a couple processes where we have a template for a fundraising strategy that we'll have them complete, which goes through all the details of terms and the amount raised and puts that in front of a very savvy fundraising panel and picks that apart. So there's a number of different excellent tools that they get access to through this program, and there's coaching that happens every week.
Now, I think our listeners understand this, but I just want to make sure they know that this isn't just for ATDC companies. This is for anyone, any company in Georgia that's looking to apply. Of course, it's unlike most TAG programs. This one is a little more exclusive. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Well, we last year had about 100 companies apply, and we picked the best, approximately 15. We plan to do that again and hope to even get a higher caliber set of companies this year than last. We had good companies last year. We for anybody who does apply, however, so those 15 or so that get selected for the custom coaching program will have this opportunity. But in addition, anybody who completes an application, we will provide some valuable tools to them, and they will get an invitation to the workshop. So we are going to try to have a very intensive select program, which is the model that works for ATDC because there's an intimacy, there's a real community that doesn't scale beyond a certain size. And so that's why we have that model, and we have a limited set of coaches as well. But we will provide some valuable tools as well as an invitation to a fundraising workshop to anybody who applies.
Well, that's great. That's a nice addition, and it goes back to the effort both from ATDC and TAG to involve as many companies as they can. So even if they're not selected, we can help them take the next logical step in their own development. So if they want to apply, is there a deadline? I know they can go to the TAG website or the ATDC website. I think you have the information on there as well.
Sure. tagonline.org and look for Cap Venture under the programs, and then atdc.org/Cap Venture. The early application deadline is June 19th, which is coming up, and there is a early application incentive of a fee discount for any companies that are selected that apply that have their application completed by June 19th. The final application deadline is July 18th.
Okay,
and all that is on the website, and the application is live.
And we should also say that we're open to find more sponsors. We have a great set of sponsors, but if you're interested in sponsoring, you can call either Cindy or me. And also, if you feel like you're in a position that you'd like to coach, also contact Cindy Cheatham or myself. So you've been listening to Tech Talk, and Cindy Cheatham, who's Director of Business Development for ATDC, talking about the great Cap Venture program and readying for our next year, for this year's launch. So, Cindy, thank you for joining me on Tech Talk.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.